So I just wanted to do a quick little tutorial on this kind of Christmas decoration. So the hoop I have here is a 2.5-inch flexi hoop, and it's red, so it's nice and festive. And I'm just gonna show you how to fill in this kind of snowflake design. So we have some sequins to add to that to make it nice and sparkly. So they're these kind of cupped sequins. I don't know how well you can see that. The inside kind of comes out. They're a little bit kind of curved. Okay, so we have 9 of them. We're going to use them. I just have a white cotton fabric in there. I have 2 layers in this one because it's quite thin fabric and I don't want my red thread showing through. So I have 2 layers of this, but if you have a thicker fabric, you should be fine with just 1 layer. I have my water erasable marker, and then of course I have my stranded cotton threads in red. Okay, so I'm just going to draw in the rough template for this snowflake. So you're just doing 4 lines just intersecting each other. Okay, so I'm going to go from that point there, that middle point there. I'm using this as a marker and just drawing a line straight down there, or roughly straight anyway. And then same again, halfway or thereabouts, directly across. And then each of these 4 sections I'm just splitting in 2. So one there, one there, and there we go. Okay, so that's just roughly marked out there, so I have something to go off. So the first thing we're going to do is put in these sequins along the outside. Okay, so I have my stranded cotton. I'm just using 1 strand for this step, and of course going in with my knot on the front and my stab stitches. Now that should be nice and secure. So I'm just going to cut off that knot. So I'm going to come up at the very tip of that first line there. I want to get as far up as I can. So if you see at the back, I'm getting in as close to that kind of inner ring as possible and coming up at the very tip of that line. Okay, and that way, if I do that all the way around, if I get in as close as I can to that edge all the way around, then my sequin should be in there nice and even in the right spot. Okay, so then I'm going to take one of the sequins. I have it kind of inverted, so when it's up like that, it's kind of cupped, but I'm going to lay it down the other way, so it's kind of raised in the middle. All right, and I'm going to lay that down on that line as close as I can to where that thread is coming up. Okay, just kind of show you there. So I have it as close as I can to the thread that's in there, and I'm going to go down in the middle in through the hole in the center of that, and pull that tight to secure it. Okay, and then I'm going to come up at the bottom of that sequin, still along that line I have drawn on there, and again down in the center, and pull tight just to make sure that's in place. Okay, so again on the next one, coming up at the top of that line as far up as I can go, and getting the next sequin, laying it down there, bringing it as close as I can to that thread and down through the hole. And again, up at the bottom and down through the hole again, just to secure. Okay, so you're going to keep going with that all the way around on all 8 of your lines, and I'll come back to you when I have that step done. Okay, so I have all 8 of my sequins on the ends there. I finished off on this one here, and what I'm gonna do is just along that line I'm gonna do 2 little stab stitches. So that's going to secure that sequin there while I'm filling in the next step. And I'm just going to bring that thread up right in the center there, and leave that there, because I'll use that again when I come to do the sequin that's in the middle. Okay, so I can leave that there for later on to come back to. So now I'm going to take 3 strands of the red stranded cotton, so 3 strands on that one, and I'm going to be filling in these bits here. Okay, and for that we're just using a fly stitch. So if you're familiar with fly stitch, you'll be flying. So I'm just going to go in with my stab stitches. Now you do have to be careful not to get that one strand from the middle there tangled up too much. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that one off. So for your fly stitch, you're going to start off with 1 straight stitch. So we're going to come up as close to the sequin as we can, and you're going to have 1 straight stitch. So for this size hoop, I'm going to do about 1 centimeter down. If you're doing it in a slightly bigger hoop, you might want to split your lines. I'm basically going to split this line into 3. So roughly around 1 centimeter splits that in 3. But if you want to kind of measure that differently, that's fine. If you want to put in an extra few stitches or whatever. So around 1 centimeter down, 1 straight stitch. And then I'm going to come up on one side of the tip. So that's the tip of that straight stitch there, meeting the sequin. And directly across from that on one side, I'm coming up. I'm also making sure that I'm outside of the sequin. Okay, so out there, and then going down on the other side at roughly the same point. So again, straight across, and I'm outside of the sequin. Okay, just to make sure you're getting your spacing nice and even for these. So I'm leaving a loop of thread there. I'm not pulling that all the way through. And I'm going to come up again at the bottom of that first straight stitch in there. Okay, so at the bottom of that straight stitch, I'm coming up and I'm inside this loop of thread I have here, so that when I pull that through and pull tight, I get a V shape in there. Okay, and again, a straight stitch, roughly the same size, and again on one side of the tip of that straight stitch, and you want to be in line with your first stitch, and then down on the other side, again leaving that loop there, coming up at the bottom of the straight stitch and pulling that tight so you get that nice V shape, and then just one straight stitch to finish. Okay, so you can see I've gone down there, not quite in where that one piece of thread is coming out, but very close to it. Okay, so that's the first one done. On to the second one now. Again, you're coming up as close as you can to that sequin and down roughly about 1 centimeter or 1/3 of the line, up on one side, down on the other side, and keeping that loop of thread on top, coming up at the bottom of the straight stitch and pull tight. Again, your straight stitch and up on one side, down on the other, leaving that loop, make sure it's not twisted, leaving that loop of thread and coming up at the bottom of the straight stitch and pull tight, and one straight stitch to finish. Okay, so again I'm going to fill in the same thing on all the other lines, and I'll come back to you when I have that done. Okay, now so I have all the other lines done in there. I've just finished down here, and I'm going to finish off doing my little stab stitches, and I'm going to try and fit them in under that line of stitching there. Okay, very tight in there, nice and small so that you hide them well. And I'm just going to do another one up there just to be sure. And again, bring to the front to cut off that piece of thread. Now, so we're almost done. We just have to rethread the needle with this one strand. And then we're going to put in that final sequin in the middle there. So I'm going to take that, and this time we're going to go up through the hole in the center of that sequin. So you want it to sit with that cupping raising in the middle, Okay, so you have that against the fabric, and then similar to before, you're just going down on one side and again up in the middle. It can be hard to gauge where the middle is exactly. There, that can guide me in. And then down on the other side to secure that in. And I'm gonna do some stab stitches just over here under this line. Now I'm just going to cut away that thread. And that is your snowflake, excuse me, that is your snowflake done. That's all of the stitching done. To get rid of those lines, those blue lines we drew in, I'm just going to run it under some warm water. That will disappear and it'll look more like that. To finish off on the back, we're just doing the normal running stitch to gather all of that in. There's a separate tutorial on that. I'll try to link that in the comments or something. But yeah, nice and easy, just a running stitch around to gather that in. But yeah, that's it. So give that a go. You can do it in any sized hoop that you want. Any color hoop that you want. If you want to do the sequins and the threads in different colors, I can show you. I've done it in white on red as well, with there's some flat sequins rather than the cupped sequins, so they catch the light a bit differently. But yeah, you can do whatever colors you like, whatever size you like. I just think this is a nice size for kind of hanging on the tree. Just 2.5 inch hoop, or a 3-inch hoop would be nice as well on the tree. Or if you want to do a much bigger one, you can always do that. You could always add more sequins or more fly stitches or whatever you like to do. But yeah, that's the basic how to do it. And yeah, show me what you make. I'd love to see it. So enjoy that, and I'll see you again some other time.